Welcome back. If you just joined us, we've been looking at Nigeria's foreign ministry and how it's been able to tackle the challenge of hostility against Nigerians abroad. And our guest on this episode of Question Time is Nigeria's foreign minister, Don't Go Away. It's on record that about 400 Nigerians are jailed in South Africa. Do we expect any diplomatic intervention on this?
Well, you know, one of the points that we also made while we were in South Africa, and we as Nigerians have to be mindful of, is that there are a large number of Nigerians in South Africa engaged in very productive business, academics, professionals, business people. But unfortunately, there is also a significant minority of Nigerians in South Africa engaged, unfortunately, in criminality. In our engagement with the Nigerian Union of South Africa, this was clearly recognized and stated. Indeed, the Nigerian Union of South Africa told us that very often they themselves take the initiative and go to the police to inform about the Nigerians engaged in criminality. But the problem they had is that this information would leak from the police and expose the informants, so that they're extremely wary of going directly to the police. And so the mechanism we've set up is another forum where they can share intelligence and provide this kind of information. But returning to your question on 400 Nigerians, each country has its laws, and its laws have to be, obeyed and enforced. So, if the 400 Nigerians, what we would insist on is that the judicial process should take its course, and that they should be subjected to a transparent judicial process, and if they are criminals, then there is no place for diplomacy. They have to face whatever the sanctions are for the particular crimes they might have been charged with.
But we have countries that call for the extradition of their foreign nationals as a way of giving them soft landing, or at least addressing the issues with their homegrown policy. So are you ruling out such option?
No, not when it comes to similar cases like this. You do have cases where you could have bilateral agreements with countries, and typically, it would be where somebody is, serving a prison sentence. Depending on the nature of the crime, of course, you have an arrangement where they could go back to their countries of origin to finish off the sentences. And so, of course, with South Africa, at the moment, I cannot say with absolute certainty the legal arrangements or mutual arrangements and agreements that we have with South Africa, but clearly that would be an option.
Let's come to economic diplomacy of the foreign ministry now. There are growing concerns about Nigeria's adventure with the One China policy, considering the fact that you ordered the close down of the diplomatic office of Taiwan, and just shortly after, some people saw that Taiwan's chancellery office was still effective in Abuja. And considering the growing concerns about the huge potentials Nigeria stands to benefit from China, many people are wondering, that is the foreign ministry driving the economic diplomacy of the country in the right direction?
Well, actually, this has nothing to do with the foreign affairs as such. And there's a lot of inaccuracies on this issue, and I read a number of them in the newspapers. The fact of the matter is that Nigeria does not have diplomatic relations with Taiwan. But Taiwan has a trade office in Nigeria. What the Chinese are requesting is that this trade office, since it's a trade office, should not be located in Abuja, because Abuja is the capital and the seat of government, and the trade office should be located in Lagos, which is almost like the commercial capital, and so as not to in any way appear to be conferring any sort of recognition, diplomatic recognition, on Taiwan as a separate entity. And so that's all it was. So we wrote to the office here, the Taiwan office, asking them that they should move to Lagos, and that's in the process of happening.
There is a growing concern about Nigeria's perceived dwindling influence at the continental level based on the fact that Nigeria lost the seat of the AU Commissioner for Peace and Security at the African Union Commission. Many people are of the opinion that the candidate we presented was incompetent and lacking all necessary diplomatic experience.
The competence is not questioned. I think it's wrong because the candidate was extremely competent, and the African Union itself, before the candidates were selected, had another selection process with all the countries, and the candidate, went forward under that process.
We understand that there was a pre-screening and she came second. Many people are wondering why we failed to present the best candidates for the job.
We as a country had a vision for the position of peace and security. Now, up to this moment, what has peace and security entailed in Africa? It's really just entailed peacekeeping forces. So if you look at all the conflict zones, South Sudan, Darfur, and so forth around Africa, the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, this is essentially what it is. You send in peacekeepers, and the commissioner in the African Union for Peace and Security manages that process. Now, we wanted a more ambitious approach and a more holistic approach to peacekeeping in Africa, and we made a very forceful case for that. Let's look at somebody who has worked in setting up NGOs, in working with women.
There are allegations in some quarters that a note verbal was sent from the government, but they failed to get the approval of the foreign ministry, and thereby such note verbal was not fully acknowledged at the international community.
No, all that is just a mere rumors.
You had a contrasting view with the Senior Special Assistant on Foreign Relations concerning the alert on Nigerians with valid visa trying to gain entrance into United States of America. Could you put things in the proper perspective?
We received information of people who were not sure if they could then travel to the US, and so we just said, well, that we consulted with the US embassy, and they informed us that no, that there was no a travel ban, and we communicated that so that if there were Nigerians that wanted to travel and had all the valid papers, that they could do so. But but of course it was presented as as if it was a conflictual situation.
In terms of making a bold print now, could you look into the camera and tell Nigerians what to expect, giving account of stewardship of your role as Nigeria's foreign minister? What should Nigerians expect now?
Okay, well, what we're going to have, and we're working very hard on, is to have the respect of all the countries of the world, for Nigeria, the Nigerian government to be taken seriously, to be well respected, and to be able to engage with foreign countries in a very professional and a very diplomatic fashion.
Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Geoffery Onyeama, thank you very much for making our time to be part of this episode of Question Time. Thank you very much indeed. And that's it on this episode of Question Time. What's your take on the hostility against Nigerians abroad? Is the federal government doing enough to tackle this menace? Send us your comments on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. Join us next week on another exciting episode of the show on Channels Television. Many thanks for watching. I'm Benga Ashuru. Bye for now.